Hey everybody, this is Luke Humphrey with Hanson's Coaching Services. I'm going to talk a little bit about Boston Marathon today. I should warn you, I apologize in advance. My nose is a little stuffed up. Been a victim of the polar vortex, so um, probably don't sound the greatest, but I know this is an important time to get this information out for those folks running the Boston Marathon. So let's get right into it. So today we're going to talk about the unique challenges of the Boston Marathon course. Um, it's a storied course with a lot of history, and we hear a lot about certain parts of the course, namely the Newton Hills and Heartbreak Hill and those types of landmarks. But there's a lot of other things going on with the course. Um, also talk about the challenges and what they mean for your training, how we can incorporate certain things and get you the best prepared to be able to handle those unique challenges of the course. And then finally, um, racing strategy based on those challenges. So how you approach Boston can make or break you. And you know, being fortunate enough to talk to Bill Rogers and run with him on the course a couple times, he was very adamant about how he was able to win Boston, and a lot of it wasn't necessarily his ability, but um, his strategy in the race, and we'll cover those things in the course here. So um, let's get to it. So the course itself, we hear all the time how hilly it is, um, and it is. There are sections of the course that are pretty hilly. However, the first half of the course is actually fairly downhill, especially that first mile. I mean, you can see on this screen here, the start to 1 mile is a pretty significant drop off, and even the start through 4 miles is a very significant net downhill. And that is a place where, usually you would think that over 26 miles, the start of the race isn't going to make or break my overall performance. However, it definitely can. I've seen a lot of people make some very big mistakes here, especially if they're fortunate enough to get a tailwind, make a big mistake in getting out too hard. Um, the combination of excitement, nerves, downhill start makes the first 3 miles pretty dangerous. You can put a lot of time in the bank, but later on you'll see that might not be the best strategy. So you can't win the race at this point, but you can definitely set the tone for messing it up at this point. Um, it's a good place to get caught up in the moment. Start of the Boston Marathon, it's downhill. You can be way too fast and feel like it's very easy, and that's a dangerous combination. As you can see, there's a lot of downhill, um, and this puts a lot of strain, especially on say your quadriceps. Um, those eccentric contractions. So when you're going down steps, if you've run a marathon before, and you try to go down steps after running the marathon, you know how painful that can be, and that's because of the eccentric contractions that are going on in the quads mainly. Um, the muscles really, it's contracting, but it's getting longer, so it's kind of an oxymoron. It's trying to contract. It's really kind of getting stretched uh, longer while it's trying to contract. So you can imagine the kind of damage that's doing to the actual muscle fibers. And going too fast in this section is definitely not any more beneficial to that process. So you really need to be careful. After the fourth mile, you can see that the course flattens out a little bit, and here's where you can start kind of getting into a rhythm. And trust me, you really want to at this point. So I know you're going to be a little fast. I mean, gravity is a very wonderful thing. You're going to get pulled along for the most part, and you're going to be a little bit fast. But the point is, you can't be reckless through this first 5K. You really have to be controlled, and you really have to check your emotions and be on top of your pace. So if you're a few seconds fast, that's expected. But if you're 30 seconds fast, that's way too fast. That's probably not a good thing for you. Um, And the best thing you can do at that point is fix it immediately. Fix it, get right back on pace. So if you want to run, 8-minute miles and you came through and averaged 7:45s, the best thing you can do is you get to that 5K mark and just fix it right away. You realize you're too fast. Uh, get back to that 8-minute pace. Settle back into the rhythm. Because from there on, from 3 on for the next several miles, you'll be able to settle into a rhythm and kind of find that pace for you. So um, the only other thing here is, there are a lot of rollers, what I like to call rollers. Um, they're not major hills at any by any stretch of the imagination, but they can break things up. So that's the other thing too. So people think, oh, the first half of Boston's so fast, but you get out there and you find yourself you are going uphill, but overall you're going downhill. So you can see a little point there, like about 2.5, right before the first mile. I mean, you shoot downhill, and then all of a sudden you hit this little hill, and then you're going back downhill again. So just be aware of those, and those can beat you up a little bit. Um, when I say rollers, if you're local, so Metro Detroit area, I'm thinking of like Stony Creek, 6 mile bike path around the lake. It's fairly flat, but you're always seem to kind of be going up or down, up or down, up or down. Not a, but nothing is daunting. There's only maybe one hill on there that's really anything significant. So that's what I think of when I think of rollers. Just so the big thing is you have to be careful, and you have to be aware of what you're doing at that point. So that's the first stretch of the course. So 6 miles to halfway, you can see there's not a lot going on here from about 9.5 to a little over 11, 11 and a quarter. Uh, you do have a little bit of a incline. Running the course, I mean, you definitely know you are doing it, but luckily it's very early in the race still at this point, and so hopefully it's not anything that's too significant on you here on you. The only thing I would say here is that if from 10 to 11 you're 5 or 10 seconds slow, don't freak out. I mean, especially since you were probably fast the first 5K. At this point, things are probably going to even out now. So you can't panic if you're slow, and I guess you can't panic if you're fast either. You just have to be aware of what you're doing, and know that it's probably going to even out. Again, the main thing is you can't put an extra effort into running faster downhill than you need to, especially that early into the race. So we talk about getting into a rhythm after 4 miles on the previous section. Um, and that's key. I think finding a rhythm in a race, especially in the marathon, is the key to success. Being all over the place wastes a lot of energy. It's hard mentally. You if you've run a marathon, obviously if you're running Boston, you've run a marathon before, and you know what it's like towards the end of the race. So this first half is ideally a time where you can almost zone out, run your pace, try to be as close as you can, and really not have to think about a whole lot. That's To me that's key, because if you have to really focus early, a lot of times you're not able to focus the whole way through. And so I like to think of it as you really kind of let zone out and just go for the ride, and then you don't focus until you really have to, from 18 miles in, or when Newton Hill start, or last 10K of the race. You try not to have to really use a lot of mental energy until you absolutely have to. So this is a good time to zone out, find that rhythm, get in that pace, be with a group if you are, tuck in, let them do some work yourself. It's just a good time to um, kind of put yourself in zone out mode. Uh, just some other notes here. Here's where you're going to go through Wellesley. Um, Roughly 12, halfway mark is actually in the town of Wellesley, and the college is before that. And I'll tell you, people said you'd be able to hear the Wellesley girls screaming, half mile or so away, and you could actually feel it in the road, and I thought they were crazy, but you absolutely can. I mean, it is a pretty crazy experience. So you know, this is probably gonna be a point where your adrenaline's gonna get pumped up and you're gonna feel good, and the guys out there are probably gonna get crazy and whatever. So the thing you have to remember is you just got to keep those emotions in check. It's too early to let the emotions go. If you're really looking to run your best Boston, this is not the time to really get too excited. Still got a long way to go. So, but it is an incredible experience. It's something I hope everybody enjoys. It is definitely very cool to run through that gauntlet of cheering young women. So, uh, you know, the big thing here too is overall you're probably going to be a little fast, because of the downhills. You don't have too much of an uphill. Going through Wellesley, and then it's a little bit downhill going into the actual halfway mark. So if it's a few seconds a mile, it's no big deal. But you really want to be careful of being too fast. So if you're 10, 15 seconds fast per mile, or you're a minute faster than you want to be at halfway, it's pretty far. That's a pretty big chunk of change, and it's something that might come back to bite you in the end. So just be careful of that. Again, just but on the other hand, you can't freak out if you are that fast. You just have to adjust accordingly and know that the next section is going to be a very tough section, and you really have to be cautious through the next section. So and this is the toughest section. This is Newton Hills. This is this is where things get tough. You go through Wellesley at the halfway mark, and you start climbing. Um, Beginning of the Newton Hills, you hear everything about Heartbreak Hill. Um, the first time I ran Boston, I knew Heartbreak was there, and that's what I was thinking about. But when you get through Wellesley, you went downhill to get through Wellesley, which means you have to go uphill to get out of Wellesley. And excuse me. And I was surprised by the hill going over the highway, the overpass, and that was definitely an experience that'll wake you up if you're not ready for it. So, right around there, 15 miles. I think 25K mark is right on the hill. So be aware of that, and that's really your first big hill. But as you can see there, you go uphill, you come downhill. You go uphill, you come downhill. So with every uphill, there is a downhill. Will it even out your pace? No. You're probably going to be a little slow, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine, especially if you were fast the first half. Uh, Things will start balancing out here as long as you don't force the issue on the hills now. You run the same effort. You accept the fact that maybe you're 10, 15 seconds slow on those miles. Excuse me. And you know that you had all that time in the first half that you were too fast. Now things will probably start evening out. So again, don't panic. Go with the flow. You'll make up some time on the downhill. You won't make it all up, but it's definitely something you can get through. And if you're having a good race and you were conservative the first half, these will not be nearly as tough as they will for people who went out too hard, thought they could just put 2, 3, 4 minutes in the bank. This is where they start losing all that time. And if you were conservative, this is where you start passing people. This is where you really start building steam, picking up people, passing them one by one, passing groups of people. And that's a great feeling because it's tough from 15 to 20, almost 21. It's a very tough section of course. And if you're on the upswing emotionally, mentally, uh, that's going to do a lot for how you feel physically. So I feel like the toughest hill is when you make the right hand turn. I think it's at 17 miles. You make a right hand turn, you go by the fire station, and you make that right turn, and you just see the hill, and you know it's there, and it's tough. To me, that was the toughest hill. That's where I made big moves when I was running well, and so in 2006 I ran 2:15 at Boston, and that's where I really made up a lot of ground on people ahead of me. And when I ran again in 2008, I believe that's where things got really bad because I was not conservative the first half, and I paid the price for it in those hills. So I think, again, this is the section. This is the section where Bill Rogers said he won his Boston's. Was in this section. This is where he broke people. So you just have to make a decision if you want to be broke or if you're going to be the one doing the breaking. So this is the key part of the course. Okay, so you see that big old splotch there at 21, and that's Heartbreak. Um, Heartbreak itself isn't the toughest hill, I don't think, on the course, but it is the worst as far as timing. It's just it's not a good time to have a hill that big. Um, and as we all know, it's you don't really want to be climbing a hill at 21 miles. But the crowds are amazing. They definitely lift you up. They definitely keep you going. And then if you can just get up that Heartbreak Hill, you can see from 21 to the finish is a lot of downhill. You can make up a lot of ground, and this is where being conservative really really pays off. I mean, you don't know how much ground you can make up. You could be a minute slow of where you wanted to be at 21 and make it up in that last 5 miles. I mean, you would be amazed at how, because at this point, you've got the net downhill, you've got the biggest crowds on the course, and it's Boston. It's you're going to be pumped up, you're going to be ready to rock, and you'll be amazed at what you can do. So this part gets me excited. This is where I saw my friend Desi make big moves to get back into the lead group and almost win Boston a few years ago. So it's just a really cool part of the course. You're coming back into the city, you're past Boston College, all that good stuff. It's just a really really cool part of the course. And it's a part of the course where if you were patient and you were smart and you saw the big picture of, okay, if I'm just hang on and can stay in one piece here, I can hold it together and I can even pick it up, and you will definitely be rewarded with that. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm gonna hound it. I'm gonna keep hounding it. Be patient the first half. Don't get carried away with what you're doing. Settle into pace. Obviously, you're probably gonna be a little fast, especially that first 5K, but keep it under control. Don't let it get out of hand. Being 2 minutes fast at halfway doesn't mean anything, and you can definitely end up losing that 2 minutes plus another 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, if you've ever watched Boston and you watch the elite race, I mean, look at half of those guys that are there at halfway aren't even either don't finish or aren't even close to running fairly even because they just went out way, way too hard. So I cannot stress enough just being patient. Halfway to 21 miles, weather the storm. You're going to probably be slow. That's fine. You're losing, if you lose 10, 15 seconds a mile through there, that's fine because one, you were already probably a little fast at halfway, so that difference is cut smaller. And then you get to the top of Heartbreak and you're rewarded with a really, really fast section of the course. And you can really let it fly. If the training's there and you're fit and you're patient, you can make up a ton of time. So I can't stress that enough. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, man, 21 to the finish is tough. I mean, that's a really hard section of any marathon to run fast, and it is. But this is a section where you can do that, and you have to trust that your legs will be there to do that that last 5 miles or so. So really trust the training, trust the fact that you're patient, and you will definitely be rewarded. Okay, so what you really want to know about training strategies, and these are strategies that the elite program is used, and I try to incorporate a lot of these into my folks running Boston. Obviously, we're challenged sometimes about finding hills, but I feel like even in the flattest parts of the country, there are some hills, and so maybe you can't do what I'm going to talk about here. Um, Exactly, but you can definitely get creative and find a way to get something in that's going to make you better prepared for Boston. So, um, right now, what you can do, or I should say, when you start a program, so you know marathon schedule 15 to 18 weeks away from the race day. Um, if you're following our program, that first part of the schedule is speed workouts. Alternate those speed workouts with hill workouts. And by hill workouts, I'm talking not only uphills but also downhills too. So maybe you find a hill that's anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes worth of hard running. That's great. You think about the time you're running those speed intervals. Ideally, those intervals are not any longer than 7 minutes. So if you're doing 3 by our 1600 workout on the track, hopefully that's not taking more than 7 8 minutes of interval. So you're doing 1 mile in under 7 minutes, and then doing that 2 more times. So if you are on a hill that's a moderate grade, maybe 4 or 5%, um, and in a little bit of length. I mean, something that's 10, 15 seconds long is definitely not ideal. If it's all you have, that's what you have. But ideally, it's anywhere from 2 to 7 minutes in length, and it's something that you can run hard uphill, recover, and then run hard downhill. And that's where you're going to get really good adaptation to Boston, because we talked about those. Not only do you have the net downhill, but you have the uphills along the way. So even though you start out at whatever 500 feet and go to 200 feet by 4 miles, whatever that case is, uh, you go up along those points too. So being strong uphill and being strong downhill is going to be very beneficial to you. It's going to get your legs adapted to downhill, running those eccentric contractions, and it's going to be callous to that a little bit. So you will definitely be more prepared there. So, but the key is you don't need to do them every week, especially if you don't do hills on a regular basis. Once a week is plenty, because it's going to take you several days to recover from that. So, 1 week do uphill, downhills. Next week do a traditional speed workout. Another thing you can do is add strides or short hill bursts. If you have that 10-15 second length hill, this is where that would come into play. Just run really hard up those hills. You can run really hard down those hills too, recover fully between each time that you do that. Um, do those a couple times a week. Start out with one time a week, and these are really things you can do throughout the year. And this is something that could be incorporated all the time. But if you're starting it now, ideally you're starting at the beginning of your segment. Keep the tempos flat. Why? Because I really want you to learn the pace, and if your body can learn the pace, um, you'll be better at pacing. So you know how that effort feels. So if you want to run 8 minute pace, you need to learn what 8 minute pace feels like on the regular flat surface, so that when you are going uphill and downhill, you know what the effort is, even though it might be 8:15 pace or 7:45 pace. The effort is the same, and that's going to keep you in check on those downhills and uphills. Long runs, at this point in time, they don't necessarily need to be hard, but if you can get on some hills, would be nice. Just going out for an hour and a half long run, 14-mile long run, and you're going uphills, downhills. That's just building your general strength. They don't need to be hard. You don't need to push them at all at this point, but definitely will help you just in general strength. So here's a sample stretch of what your training might look like. So you have Monday, first week, easy with strides or hill bursts, speed, following our traditional schedule off, or if you're running more mileage, easy mileage. Thursday, your regular tempo. So really the only thing that's changed that first week is you're adding strides or hill bursts. Second week, that's when things change a little bit more. You get hills instead of the speed workout, and then the following week you go back to a speed workout. So so out of a 6 8 week stretch of doing speed work, you might do 2 or 3 specific hill workouts, but you're also doing those strides and those hill bursts throughout that first section. And the strides or hill bursts too, I should mention too, is not necessarily for leg strength. You will develop a little bit, but it's more for developing a neuromuscular connection, connecting your brain to your muscle fibers. So when you do get fatigued on those hills, the connection's better between your brain and your muscles, and you can pull more muscle fiber into what you're doing. So lifting the leg, contracting the leg, whatever the case is. Instead of completely burning your slow twitch, now you might be able to have the power and the connections to intermingle with those intermediate muscle fibers or even maybe the fast twitch fibers. So it's not necessarily strength, but it's about incorporating the ability to use all of your muscle fibers. Okay, so 10 weeks out to 3 weeks out, um, you're going to transition from that speed to that strength. So we're going to move away from maybe doing things on the track to longer intervals at a little bit slower. Um, Here's where you can also incorporate downhills. So, for instance, by our office, we have a very rolly section of road where we could do 2 miles of net downhill, but in the course of the downhill, we have those rollers that we keep talking about. So, um, we can really do a lot with that. We can alternate going the downhills for those, and then turning around and coming back uphill all the way around. There's really a lot we can do with that. And ideally, you have a situation where you have a section of road or trail or something that you can do that with. If not, maybe it's nice out, but you have access to a treadmill that has a downhill or a decline function on it. It might be worth it to do those workouts inside on the treadmill just so you can get those eccentric contractions and build that general leg strength. It might be something to think about. You hear stories about guys like Rod DeHaven who just sat the back end of his treadmill up on cinder blocks and ran 16 miles downhill on his treadmill. I don't necessarily condone that, but you might have to get creative if you really want to run well at Boston. Uh, it's a different kind of course, and it's going to require different types of training. You just got to get creative with things. Um, so again, like with the regular speed, 1 week might be a regular strength workout on a flatter surface. Next week might be the more downhill or alternating up downhill and uphills. Again, you don't need to do it every week. It's very hard on your legs, and doing it once every 2 weeks is more than enough stimulus to get your muscles to adapt, but it's also enough time between doing them that you can recover fully and you're not sitting on the shelf waiting to recover from a workout so you can keep training. I don't want you to be at that point where you have to take days off to recover from a workout and end up missing other training. So continue on with the hill bursts and strides, and then alternate your long runs, shorter, medium runs. So, following our system, you know that 1 week's your long run, and then next week is on Sunday is still a longer run for the week, but it's shorter than your max long run. And those shorter runs are really good at maybe pushing the pace a little bit on those, getting to the point where you're 30 seconds slower than marathon pace, and you are on hilly terrain, so you are running those hills harder. Because since they are shorter, you can still recover from them. So you're kind of sacrificing the shortness of it for running them harder. But given that, you still want to take Monday very easy, and then come back and run your strength workout. So I think we have a sample section here. So here's a quick look at what that would look like. Uh, easy with strides or hill bursts, strength on a net downhill, off easy. So you can see that the first week we're doing the strength on the downhill. Second week um, we are doing a regular strength and then a medium long run with moderate hills, um, and then coming back with a strength on the net downhill. Now that might be too much for some people. Looking at that now, Sunday to Monday and Tuesday could be a little rough. So maybe you switch and do uh, one strength in the middle, so that middle week there do the strength with the net downhill sandwiched in between two regular strength workouts there, and that would actually, because if you're running that medium long run hard with the hills, you might not necessarily want to do um, a net downhill workout 2 days later. So there's definitely room to play around with that. This is just an example. So like somebody running really high mileage, maybe doing 70, 80, 90 miles a week, ideally they could probably handle this, and it would be tough. It would be a tough section of training, but in that last 6, 8 weeks, that's where you're going to have your toughest training anyway. So it could work, but somebody maybe with a little bit less mileage might want to, instead of doing, make that strength with downhill sandwiched in between 2 regular strength workouts the first and the third week. So hopefully that makes sense. Um, Here's another example of something you could do. The long run with the last 3 hard. I would definitely save this for more advanced runners. Again, higher mileage, higher performance runners. So maybe somebody who's looking to break 3 hours in the marathon. Somebody like that running 70, 80 miles a week or more could attempt a long run with 3 last hard, whether it's 16 with, 13, 14, 15 hard and then cooling down 15 to 16, something like that. And by hard, I mean getting down to marathon pace. We never really get much faster than marathon pace on those, especially during a marathon segment. But it definitely, the advantage of that is you learn how to, one, pick it up when you're tired, because you're going to be tired going into that long run. And it also teaches you how marathon pace feels. So you learn the effort of marathon pace when you are tired. So you know that feeling. It's not a big surprise to you when you get to 21, 22, 23 miles, and you can recognize that you can still run that hard even though it feels harder, and it's gonna pay off for you. So just some examples here. I mean, there's definitely some room to play around with this stuff, but this is just one example. So last 3 weeks, you start getting into your taper. Uh, stop doing the downhills. By now, you've adapted, um, so you can avoid doing downhill specific workouts. Still, don't avoid hills altogether. So on your easy runs, your long runs, continue with your regular routes. Don't avoid hills, but you definitely don't need to run downhill specific workouts at this week. You've got to now's the time to let your body recover from the damage because you have done a lot of damage to your legs, and you got to let them recover from it. Uh, Begin a slow taper. When everyone follows our schedule says, "Oh, you never taper. You don't taper that much." True, the mileage is higher, um, but you do cut out a lot of the intensity. So, and I'll get into why that is for our taper in a different video. I won't add too much more time to this one. So, you begin a slow taper. So, cut back on the intensity. Over 3 weeks, we start cut back very, very little. Next week, you cut back a little bit more, and then the third week is the race week, and then you're not really doing any workouts, and your mileage is pretty small in comparison to your peak week. So I'll just say this for now, that we feel that that's a better preparation for most people, just because you don't cut out too much too fast, and you tend to not feel as sluggish. Obviously, everybody's different, but in our experience, this has worked out very well for many people. So not much going on there. Biggest thing is you just stop doing the downhill workouts. I would still do strides. I don't think I would do hill bursts anymore, but I would still do strides, just to keep that leg turnover and probably make your legs feel a little bit more fresh. Sample taper here. And you can see we've talked about that. Modified strength. So maybe that 3 weeks out from the marathon, that strength workout is maybe a 3x2 mile or something to that effect. Um, and then the second week, maybe I'll do 4x mile. Higher level people, I'll still do maybe the 6x mile. And then the last Tuesday before Boston, I would do something like 2x2 miles at pace, at marathon pace. Because if you know our schedule, strength workouts 10 seconds faster than pace. So the week before, I would just back that intensity off to marathon pace and cut it down to 2x2 miles. The second week there, the middle week there, the modified strength might be 4x mile at 10 seconds faster than pace. So you cut the volume a little bit, keep the intensity the same. You still have enough time before Boston that it's cut back a little bit, but it's still going to kind of keep you in that consistency. Thursday, the modified tempo. A lot of times, what I'll do is, that third week out is your 10-mile tempo, and then that 2 weeks out, I would maybe do like a 6-mile tempo or something like that. So still kind of keep you in that rhythm of doing the consistency, but you just back off. You back off on one or two of the factors, not all of the factors. Okay, so talk training strategies. We talked the course. The other big thing that comes up is the weather. 50 degrees is considered ideal. That's when world records are broken. Um, you can see this chart from 2000 to 2012. 9 out of those 13 years were very good. I should say that I believe 2006 was when the starting time went from noon to 9:30 or 10. I think maybe 9:30 for women, 10 for the men, and then all the corrals. So if you're in even the last corral is starting before the old regular start time for the elites. So you can see after that, you can see after 2006 that starting temperatures were pretty cool. 2012 was a warm one, starting out at 76, and it got very, very hot that year. But for the most part, temperatures been pretty good given that earlier start time. Uh, so I think that's less of a factor now than it has been before. But obviously, given 2012, you still have that chance of it being a very, very warm day. Wind, and here's another big one. Talk about tailwind. So Hopkinton is, pretty much straight west of Boston. So if you get a westerly wind, you're going to get a nice little tailwind, and then you're going to fly. You're going to fly on that course, but it doesn't happen a whole lot. 3 times between 2000 and 2011. Um, the basic point here is that odds are temperature will be pretty good. Hopefully, it won't be too warm for you. However, the odds are that the temperature will be fine. Wind will probably be a headwind or a crosswind. Um, the years that it was um, a westerly wind, um, it was a little bit warmer, but not too bad. So you'll see yeah, you can see that on there that going through that wind speed, and when it is a westerly wind, it's pretty significant too. 18 miles an hour looks like it's averaged. Um, but the take home is that chances are temperature will be okay. Wind might be probably in your head a headwind or a crosswind. Crosswind isn't too bad. If it's a headwind, hopefully you're running with a group of people and you can minimize how much you feel out of that. The worst thing is if you're in a race with 25,000 people and you're running by yourself into a headwind. So ideally you're able to run with at least a few people, And I'm not condoning not doing any work, but definitely don't be the guinea pig for everybody else. Everybody takes turns. Hopefully, you come to an agreement um, and break that up for each other. So bottom line, wind, I would count on a tailwind, but temperatures for the most part since they changed that starting time has been pretty good. So wrap up, uh, Boston's a unique course, storied course history. A lot of history on that course. It can be tough, but it can also be a PR course. I PR'd there in 2006. My PR at the time was 2:18:40 something, and I ran 2:15:22 that year. So taking over 3 minutes off my PR was very, very significant. Um, and it was my PR for some time. Uh, but it can be. I mean, it can be tough. It can be a brutal course, but a lot of times that's because of decisions we make along the course, not necessarily do with training, but maybe being naive. And a lot of times people just want to get to Boston and they don't necessarily care how they run. So, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Boston is a great place to be. It's a great place to run, and something that, yeah, I don't have any problem with people just wanting to enjoy the experience. Other people want to go to Boston. They want to perform. I'm coaching a gentleman now who has a chance to win his age group, and that's what he wants to do, and he wants to perform very, very well there. So that's great too. And hopefully this just provides you with some training ideas, how to prepare for the course, let you know how to be prepared for the course, and not be surprised by anything that you see out there, and that it is a tough course and what the extent of that toughness is. So, again, I can't preach it enough, but you have to be patient that first half. And Boston is the epitome of what it means to be patient for a long time. I know it'll feel easy, that first half, chances are, but it definitely gets hard real quick. And being conservative can really, really show you a great finish. And to me, that means enjoying the course even more, enjoying what it feels like to finish Boston strong, and no pun intended, and have a great experience coming down to that finish line. And it is a memorable moment. And I enjoyed it much more when I ran fast in 2006, and I enjoyed it at least in 2008 or 2009 it was, and when I was running really, really bad. And ideally, you want that finishing experience to be quite memorable. So hopefully this helps you out. Uh, Look forward to doing some more videos coming out, bunch of different topics. Hopefully it won't be 45 minutes long. I know it's a long time to keep your attention span. So thank you. Thank you for listening, watching, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you guys later. All right.